Hello there, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you spending a bit of your time with me. Here we are back in Planet Zoo, and we are in Tiny Zoo today. In our last episode we built this lovely alligator habitat. I was very pleased with how this turned out with our sunken viewing area here. Today we are moving over this way, and there's already a bit of a structure in place here. So this is going to be for African penguins. And let me tell you, this build was complicated. I'm not good at doing this sort of build with the glass surrounds and the landscaping. I mean, look, you can see here, because the barrier is already in place, I can't even smooth off this little bit of land this far out. And trying to have a raised gate as well, a habitat gate, is really tricky. I've managed to put it in, but I don't know how, because it naturally, when you have a barrier in the ground like this, it naturally tries to put the door underground. So you have to kind of raise this up. So somehow I've managed to raise this middle piece up like this and fit the gate in here. I'm sure there are sensible and easy ways of doing it, but I'm no good at that sort of thing. And then obviously I've got this pathway coming out here that I somehow need to connect up to these pathways here. So yeah, and then a large water area. So already, to get to this stage, this has taken me ages, and it's still nowhere close to how I actually want it to look. In the end, this does turn out to be a really nice habitat, but my word, it was complicated and a bit stressful at times, I'll be honest. So I'm glad I don't do this sort of thing too often. But there we go. I do get there in the end, and it does look really nice. So I'm very pleased with the result. So it was worth me persevering. But so yeah, basically my thinking behind it all was that I wanted this end of the habitat with the land to be a large building with a roof, and then a sort of a platform here where they can launch themselves into the water, and then the pathway would simply come around in a square along here and then join into this path here, and so all the viewing would be done along here, and then at the back here, obviously this is going to be a staff area, and I would just wanted some kind of a pathway coming out here with steps maybe going sideways, linking into these two paths here. Obviously we've got a pathway back here, so the members of the public can come along here. There's obviously nothing for them to see, but I needed to do all of this, and lots of decorating and detailing back there as well. So there was an awful lot to do actually in this habitat. It did take me quite a long time to do it all, but that was my starting shape. So yeah, it was it's worth it in the end, but quite a process. So let me load up my next save point and show you what I did next. Okay, so obviously this is nothing like it ends up looking, I'll be honest, but I wanted to show you kind of my thinking process. Now with regards to the glass, I had to cover up the pillars in the glass. So this was my first thinking, was to just turn them all to brick. And it looks terrible, so I obviously changed that because it just doesn't work at all. I have put the pathway in place, so at least that gave me a rough shape of how everything was going to look. The other problem I had was actually inside, where I realised that the glass, so the water wasn't deep enough to get the feeders in, so I needed to sink the water a bit more into the ground here. And obviously my plan all along was obviously to make this look solid with flooring and walls and everything. So the manipulation of the landscape wasn't too much of an issue, but I needed to make sure that it was deep enough so they could have their little fish feeders right down the bottom here. And I didn't mind that it was sort of going down below the level of the viewing area outside. That doesn't really bother me. I think it actually kind of adds a bit of an extra dynamic to it in a way, because it means that the penguins are actually going right down below your eye level and then coming back up into view again. So I don't mind that. Yeah, it is what it is. Obviously at the moment it just looks terrible, but once you start putting in the walls and everything, it starts to look a lot more sensible. Over the back here, this is what I came up with, and actually this worked really nicely. So the pathway, I managed to get it to come out flat here, and then I managed to get it just right in the center here, so that I could make it symmetrical on either side. Now it wasn't ideal, but I come up with a clever way of manipulating this to make it look a lot better, because it doesn't look quite right like that. You wouldn't have a slope there and then steps. It would just be steps all the way up. But I just couldn't do that. It was all at the wrong height. So I cover these up in a quite an ingenious way, I think. I think it looks really good. Something that I can only do in this zoo because I don't care about whether people can actually walk on things, or if they sort of, if their feet disappear into stuff that I've put on top of paths or whatever. So actually it's it works for this zoo, but it wouldn't necessarily work in other zoos, what I end up doing here. But that was my basic path structure that I came up with at the end there. In the end, it does look really nice, I promise you. At the moment, this whole thing looks awful, but at least you're starting to get a bit of an idea of the sort of the rough shape and design of what I'm trying to do. You can see the water here is leaked into here. It's all corrupted as well. I don't know why it does this sort of thing. It's really not very good at working out where the water can go and where it can't. It's kind of there, and then there's an edge, and then it's in here, and there's an edge, and then there's nothing there. I mean, it's just shocking, really, isn't it? Oh dear. And then it does the same on this side as well. You get this sort of flat edge where there shouldn't be an edge. The water should have just flown into there. But yeah, it's very hard to know what blocks water and what doesn't as well. I really wish you could make wall pieces. So construction pieces. These wall pieces here. It'd be great if you could make these watertight. So if I wanted to make a nice round tank, it'd be great if you could build that and then select water to go inside it. It would be such a helpful thing to be able to do, but you can't, unfortunately. Maybe one day, maybe they will put that into the game, but yeah, not yet. Anyway, there we go. Right, let me move on and show you what I did next. Right, quite a change. There's been a lot of building work going on between the last cut and this one. So as you can see, I've used this lovely rustic flooring again. I just love this stuff. It looks fantastic. And in fact, in here, I've doubled up on it because I've also used it for the walls of the swimming pool area in here. This is something I find very funny. When you load up the game, it freezes all your penguins in the water. So these penguins are absolutely fine. They're awake, they're happy and alive, and they're stuck. If I move it, it should work. It should wake the penguin up and it will start moving around as normal. But these guys down here are just stuck. It's it's a weird bug that seems to happen sometimes when you load the game up. But anyway, let's look what I've done. So obviously this building still needs a lot of work, but this was my basic idea for a structure. I loved the idea of having all these nice extra arches on the roof, even though they clearly don't do anything. They're not really part of the building. Still a lot of detailing that I need to do in here, covering up all these holes. I need to put a nice roof in here so that none of this can be seen. I can't actually remember in the end whether I managed to cover up this barrier or not. It's really tricky sometimes to hide the barriers because it doesn't always let you. I wanted to just make all of this invisible, but it doesn't let me for some reason. I'll show you if I go onto it. Okay, look at that. Now it's going to let me do some of them. That's really odd. I'm sure before it didn't let me do that. Okay, you can ignore everything I just said. For some reason it's now letting me actually make those into null barriers. Maybe it does let me do that in the end. I can't remember. It was a little while ago that I built this. I can't quite remember what I managed to do and what I didn't. Anyway, so I wanted just a couple of these archways. So these are actually sunk down into the ground here because I didn't want them to be the full height. I wanted them to look like penguin holes as much as possible anyway. So that was my thinking there. And this structure, this wall piece is lovely. Stained wooden wall, and I've obviously recoloured it so that it's this lovely sort of mix of blues. It looks really, really nice. And the stone obviously continues, so this rustic stone is in here. I've had to manipulate it a little bit weirdly at the side here to sort of fill in these gaps because you've got the barrier coming in. I think in the end I managed to move this barrier out to the shape of the building. It was another weird manipulation that I had to try and get sorted out. but I couldn't. It wouldn't let me because of what was going on out here with the pathway for some reason. So yeah, it was a little bit tricky. And down in the water here, I built this along the back. So this is just a simple. Actually, what pieces have I used? Oh yes, the plaster blocks with vents put along the front, and then some of the bubble special effects along here, just to make it look like a big sort of air filter, some sort of filtration unit cleaning the water or aerating the water or whatever. I just thought it needed something in there to add that little bit of realism. And obviously that means they got this ledge along the side of the pool here, which matches the pathway outside. And a little ramp as well. They can actually just dive straight in, but if you actually look at the depth here, it is quite a drop into the water, so they would certainly be able to dive in. Not sure they would climb out very easily, so I have put a little ramp in here as well, so they can come up and down, but they don't. They just you can see they just go on and off from the edges, which is fine. You know, they do what they want to do, and they're happy, except these ones, because they're frozen in the water. I think they would have drowned by now, wouldn't they? Yeah, anyway, there we go. So that's the next stage. Nothing done over the back here yet. Still lots to do. Still lots to do on the building as well. An awful lot of detailing actually to be done on the building. A few changes as well. So these roof pieces, for example, I didn't like them being flat onto the ends, so I bring them out so there's a bit of an overhang on all of these archways. Put some windows on. Lots of detailing obviously still to do with the glass barrier. I still hadn't quite worked out what I was doing with that. And around the pathway here as well. So yeah, still tons to do. Absolutely loads still to do. Like I said, this was a big build for me. This is probably the longest habitat in this zoo, I think, to build, with the possible exception of, I think, my sunken bear habitat. Blimey, I don't even know. Yeah, here, this one here with the grizzly bears. I reckon this was probably the longest build that I did, but this new penguin one comes pretty close, I would say. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Let's move on, shall we, and see what I did next. So just a small update here, really. Just done a little bit more detailing on the building here. So I needed to come up with something at the sides here to cover up where the glass blends into the building. So I put these nice rustic stone pieces down. Then I felt like they didn't look good on their own, so I've given them a kind of a wooden border, which I think looks pretty good actually. I don't mind that. It's not perfect. I would want the glass probably going right in the middle here. But you can't have perfection sometimes. It's fine. I'm happy with that. And then because I'd put that in, I decided I wanted to continue it around here and actually right over these archways as well. I thought it looked nice having the stone going all the way around the back here in front of the archways, but being careful to leave this bit of wood at the top, which I thought that looked nice, to kind of blend the wooden building in with the stone outside, and then that goes all the way around. And I've just done the same just down here as well as an edge to the glass. Put in a couple of supports. Obviously this was a very long front to the building here, so I needed a couple of nice strong looking supports. So just really simple wooden beams here in a little sort of a Y shape, holding the building up. Put in roof, like an under roof along here for this building, and then inside I've done the same, just covered it up so you can't see all the mess in the roof, because there's all sorts of things jutting through the roof up here. So that just kind of covers all of that up. You still got the barrier in. Obviously you can see the vets and that, their feet have gone because they've just disappeared into this ground, but sometimes they spring up on top, but it's fine. You can't worry about stuff like that. You just want to try and make stuff look good, don't you? And the building, I've just added a few windows on, and actually it was when I added the windows on, I was happy with the windows, but it made it obvious that this roof line didn't look right, and that was when I decided I needed to bring the roof out so that there was an overhang over these windows, because it looks really odd. It looks like the windows really sort of stick out. I tried sinking them in, but they didn't look right. They needed to be out like that, but then they needed the roof to be overhanging. So I do that in a minute, I believe. Still nothing done around the back here, but I promise we will get to this area eventually. I was really just trying to focus on this kind of view first, just trying to get these bits of detailing. So like the bits of this wall, I'm really pleased with how this looks, but it's a simple thing, but until you've done it, you're kind of looking at it thinking, I just don't know what to do there. I don't know how to blend these things together. But actually, I think I've done an okay job with that. Oh look, our penguins are swimming this time. Rather than being stuck this time, they've actually loaded properly. And you can see they're all very happy, which is what you like to see, isn't it? Now I've made the water as clear as it can be as well, so when you're standing out here you can actually see the penguins moving about. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's a good space. They've got a lot of swimming space there, so yeah, I think they would be pretty happy with that in real life. Okay, let's move on again and see what I did next. Right then, so quite a big change. You can't see it yet, but I have been working around the back in this edit. You can see I have also done the overhang on these roof pieces, and they just look a bit more realistic now, a bit more like proper roofing. Okay, so nothing done around the front here. This is going to be one of the last bits that I work on, but let's go around the back, shall we, and see what I've done. I'm really happy with how this looks around here. Ta-da! I think this looks great, actually. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. Oh look, someone's coming up the stairs and their feet have gone and they're back, but I don't care. I don't care what it looks like when they walk on it. I care about what it looks like that, and I think that looks really, really cool. So obviously I've just covered up the earth at the back here with the rock structure, the rustic rock again. So there's various pieces here all sort of blended together to make all of this wall work, so yeah, many different building pieces going into this. Lots of angular pieces and all sorts to get it all blended together. So that's just covering up this sort of terrain stuff underneath here, and then just soil on top, a couple of trees and some shrubs. So it's fairly low maintenance kind of stuff. Obviously a couple of windows on the back and a door. That's the simple part. So this was the clever bit. If you remember this pathway here, so this is just planks of wood just made into a staircase here, and then a flat area at the top. But if you remember, this pathway underneath here was stepped further down. So here you've got steps. Can't really show you, but you'll remember it was steps there, and then it was a slope up here. And I wanted to cover that up, and so by doing the floor like this, it makes it, I've got rid of that little bit of sloping pathway at the top basically, and made it look like just one continuous set of steps all the way up to the flat area, and I could not be more pleased with that. I think that just turned out really, really nice. So yeah, very, very, very pleased. A couple of benches and some bins. I wanted to decorate the walls at either end here because they're very large areas of wall, and I didn't want to just put some ivy growing up it. I thought let's do something a bit different, so I've used these lovely trellis pieces. Let me just try and actually click on them. Let me come over here, maybe it might be a bit easier. Yeah, so here we go. I can never remember what they're called because they're not trellis, are they? No, a wooden arbor. I don't know if that's the American version of trellis, but in England here, this kind of lattice woodwork that you use to climb stuff up, we call it trellis. So I don't know if that's just an English word, but anyway, so it's just some simple trellis with some ivy growing up it. It's really, really simple idea, but it's something that looks good. It adds a bit of 3D-ness to a flat wall. So yeah, very pleased with how that turned out. Put a couple of lights. Let's just put it to night so you can see what I did with the lighting. Just some little spotlights I thought would look good lighting up the stairway along here, and then a couple on the side of the path there. And then you've got all of these windows actually on the building all light up as well. So I didn't feel the need to put anything on the building. Like I would usually put a light above the door, but I thought it's got enough light there on its own. And then down the back here, so the idea is that this is a staff area, these steps coming up to the backstage bit, and then this is the actual pathway where the members of the public could walk. So there's some more benches along here, a couple more lights, and a few hanging baskets. I just wanted to use this blank bit of wall here and do something with it, and so I've just put a few hanging baskets along there. So it'll be a bit of an odd little bit of the zoo along here because there's not really much to do. It's just a little seating area where you can just chill out, relax before moving on to your next habitat to have a look at. And obviously the pathway comes in under here. So ideally I wanted these benches to be further back here up against the trellis, but I couldn't. That was as close as I could get them, so that's what I went with. I thought that looked okay. I was okay with that. I was pretty happy with it. So yeah, I love this backstage area here. I think this looks really, really good actually. I mean, I think it looks good enough that it should be at the front. It should be a really well used area. It should be on display a bit more actually, but hey ho, there we go. I don't mind making backstage areas look nice. So yeah, there we go. Right, so not too much more to do. Obviously still a load to do with the glass here. You've got a big blank wall here. I can't actually remember what I do with this. And then I do also put a nice edging along this pathway here as well, because I wanted some sort of border here, like a shrubbery as well. So yeah, still a bit to do. I'm not sure how many more edits there are, how many more cuts. Might be one, might be two, could even be three. I really can't remember. But let's load up the next one, shall we, and see what I did next. Right, quite a lot done again. So this blank wall here, I need to do something with it, didn't I? So some simple ivy growing up here and along the top, and a nice big framed media screen here telling you about the penguins, and a few information boards here. Obviously these are meant to tell you stuff about the penguins, but obviously there's nothing actually on these that looks like a penguin, but you know, that's the best you can do. So yeah, I thought that was a decent use for that big flat bit of wall there. The habitat glass wall here, in the end I decided to use these wooden beams, sort of continuing the wooden beams that I'd used inside here. So these sort of frames for this bit of stonework here, I wanted to use the same beams. So really simple, just a simple cross beam structure all the way around the edge of the glass there, covering up all the breaks in the glass. And then I decided when I was looking at that, I didn't think it quite looked finished. You know, it needed something else. So I decided to use this lovely Wisteria plant to grow up it. So it starts in the ground here and it comes up, goes all the way along the top here, and then I built some of this trellis in here. Let me go underneath and you might be able to see it a bit better. So there we go. So it's just again just simple wooden beam trellis along the corners here, and you've got this wisteria growing all over it, and then it's just starting to creep along the front here, and then I've done the same on this side as well, coming up here along here and covering up the corner. And I think that just finishes it off nicely. It just looks like it's established and it's been there for a while. Gave it the bottom, I gave it a stone floor here, and I couldn't resist these lovely little penguin pieces, the little African penguin signs. So just a few of those just dotted along, just to add a little bit of humour to the habitat. Yeah, you know, it's the sort of thing, it doesn't look too cheesy, not too childish, you know, but yeah, it's obviously it's quite relevant because it's the animal that's inside the habitat. In here I have put in some lights, also put in a feeder here. So let me show you the lights because they're pretty cool. I think they're blue. I just think the water looks so much nicer when it's lit up blue. So here we go. So that's the nighttime look, and I think that looks pretty cool. And inside you can see there's some lovely bright lights in here. Got our little penguins in here having a snooze on their wooden trays. So yeah, happy penguins. And they've got some other enrichment stuff in here as well. They've got their little ice cube thing here. They've got a mirror toy out here. They've got a little feeder over here as well, and a rubber duck, of course. Oh look, he's actually playing with his rubber duck. That's brilliant. I don't think I've ever actually seen any animal use the rubber ducks before, but clearly that penguin was having a bit of fun with his rubber duck there. That's nice to see. Oh, is he going to play with it again? Look, he's thinking about it. He's thinking. He's going. Go on. Go on. Go on. Yay! Look at that. A penguin and his duck. Awesome. Okay. Right. And then around the outside, obviously just a few benches and some bins. Some simple lighting as well along the wall here. And a breeze block wall. So I wasn't too sure what I was going to do here. So I put the wall in place. And then I put a couple of these nice stones. These are new pieces as well. North African plaster cone. I can't actually remember if I keep them or not. I'll be honest. I can't quite remember. But we'll see in the next edit. I think there's just one more cut, and this will be done. Because I did this and I wasn't too keen on it. I kind of wanted to finish this off, so I do turn this into a full flower bed, or shrubbery, I think actually. Yeah, so let's load up what I think is our final cut and see the finished habitat. And here we go. This is our small shrubbery. I decided to make it have some rocks in it as well. I wanted to do something a bit different other than just the normal sort of shrubberies that I do. So I used the breeze block as the main wall. Filled it with compost, of course, and there are shrubs and a couple of little trees as well, but there's also some rocks, so you've got some nice big boulders all the way through the shrubbery. Not too full up. I wanted to have lots of soil on show, plus the rocks as well. I wanted them all to be seen, so I've just dotted some basic shrubs along here. Nothing too bright. I didn't want lots of colour. Don't know why. I just didn't feel like colour was the right thing to have, and then just angled it off at the end here, and obviously the rest of this will get sort of filled in when I decide what I'm building over here. But as a shrubbery, it's pretty simple and straightforward. It just finishes off this area quite nicely, I think. Couple of trees as well, just adding a bit of height. And yeah, so there we go. That's our penguin habitat. Oh yes, I also put in a keeper hut here as well. Just like I said before, I realised I didn't have enough keeper huts in the zoo, so I want to make sure I add in these whenever I do the habitats now. You'll also see what I think I mentioned in the last episode. I put a pathway in here which comes in here and just goes through the wall. I know it's not great, but it's kind of necessary. Just links into here so my staff members don't keep getting stuck, because they kept on getting kind of carried out to the main entrance and then they couldn't get back in. So now they can all walk back into my zoo if they get kicked out. But yeah, that's our penguin habitat. I'm really pleased with how it looks in the end. Like I said, it was tricky, it was complicated, it was a bit of a disaster at times, but in the end it's come out okay. Clearly you can see I didn't actually finish off sorting out the barriers inside here, but I don't mind that. It is what it is at the end of the day. You don't really need to look in there, you just see a little bit of it from out here and it looks absolutely fine. I don't mind that being on show in there. The main focus of the habitat is really the view from the outside here, and I'm very pleased with how all of this looks actually from out here, particularly this backstage. This is without doubt, this is my favourite part of the whole habitat, even though it's the least important really, but actually it kind of looks the most finished in a way, and I just love the look of this little walkway area here. Hey, I take pleasure in the little things in life. So there we go. Let me know what you think if you like my penguin habitat. I appreciate they are African penguins, and I didn't really theme the habitat appropriately for Africa or anything, but you don't always have to do that. Sometimes you just have an animal in a habitat that's built to match the zoo rather than the animal, if you see what I mean. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a penguin habitat, they're more than happy, but I haven't themed it to make it look like Africa. But you don't always have to do that with every animal. Sometimes you could just build a fun habitat, as long as it's suitable, and it is. They've got a nice indoor bit, they've got a lovely big swimming area, and the members of the public have got a nice viewing platform around here, and they can come and sit on the benches and watch the penguins swim. Oh yes, I also put a drainage grate along the side as my just a small bit of detailing. I didn't need to do too much with that really in the way of detailing along here. This wall I kept clear. I didn't want to overfill this area. It's quite a narrow walkway through here, and I'd already got this information board for the Arctic foxes on this side, so I decided not to do anything with this wall. So there we go. There is our African penguin habitat, and again I think it fits in quite nicely to the zoo. It is quite big. It is a large area compared to most of my habitats. It's not too much bigger than the pond or the exhibit building over here. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. I'm pleased with this whole zoo. I think it's looking really, really nice. So please do let me know what you think of today's episode. If you've liked it, then please do hit the like button. That really helps me out. And please do leave any comments if you have anything that you want to tell me, whether you like it or you don't like it. And what are we going to do in our next episode? Let me think. I think the next episode is right over here in this space here. And the animal is, hang on, let me find it, because I've just forgotten what it's called. That's terrible, isn't it? It's the prairie dog, that's the one. I build a lovely walk-through habitat for the black-tailed prairie dog. So there we go. So that is what is coming up in our next episode, and that is going to be in this area of the zoo over here. But for today, that is going to be it for this episode. So thank you so much for spending a bit of time with me. I do appreciate your company as always, and hopefully I will see you again very soon. Until then, take care. Bye for now.